My name is Sarah, and I am an adoptee from Ghana, which is in West Africa. I was adopted at the age of 9, and most of my life was spent in an orphanage. At the orphanage, we were mistreated. We weren't treated the way children should be. I was 5 years old when I arrived at the orphanage. From the moment I arrived, I was told that I could no longer speak my native language, which was all I knew. And if I was caught speaking my native language, I wouldn't be able to eat for 5 days because that was their punishment. So at the orphanage, I met my younger sister and my older brother. I didn't know them till that moment. So then I met them, and we were in the orphanage for about 4 years. And it wasn't a very good experience, but I'm gonna skip through that. So then we finally got the news that we were gonna be adopted by a family with 12 children, and that was the happiest moment of my life. I wanted to get out of that orphanage as fast as I could. So I was pretty excited to meet my new parents. I had high hopes for them because my whole life I had never known the love of a parent. My mother died when I was like 3 years old. I never knew my biological father, so I had never met my real parents. So then my adopted parents came to adopt us. The paperwork was done, and then we came into America. Now, most people, when they think of adoption, they think of a abandoned child who is taken in by a loving, kind, and caring family who just accepts the child as they are, as if that child was their own. Well, my story did start out that way. For the first 2 years, everything was a dream. I was like, you know what, I could get used to this life. I have 12 new siblings. I'm with my biological siblings. And I have parents for the first time. So the first 2 years were awesome. But then everything went downhill 3 years into my adoption. My parents called us in their room and told us that they were going to send my older brother away to a different family. It was the beginning of a very terrible time in my life. I started to fear that my parents were slowly getting tired of us adopted children, and one by one they were going to send each of us away. So because I was the next oldest, I thought I was going to be the next to go after my brother. So then my brother was taken away. My parents refused to let us call him. They said that we could not have any communication with him at all. So you can imagine how that was for me and my younger sister. So then things just became very hard that moment on, but it wasn't terrible until another 2 years later. My parents called me again into the room and was like, we're sending your younger sister away to a boarding school for adopted children who have attachment issues. Now, most adopted children come with a lot of pain and trauma that they've gone through, and of course they're gonna have attachment problems because of that, because of the life that they went through beforehand is very hard and makes it hard for them to connect with other people, especially when they've never had parents around before. So the attachment doesn't happen very quickly. And my parents had a very messed up view of what adoption was gonna be like. They thought things were gonna be easy and that we wouldn't come with any problems, but most adopted children do come with a lot of things that they have to deal with, either through talking it out or just counseling or just patience from the adopted family side. So my parents didn't know what to do with my sister, so then they decided to send her away. And from that day on, I became very, very angry. I built up a lot of anger inside me because the two people I felt safe around and could talk through life with were just suddenly removed from my life. I didn't have an opinion of whether or not my siblings could stay with us or not. I wasn't allowed to communicate with them at all. So you can imagine I built up a lot of anger towards my adopted parents. I would question them as to why they wouldn't let me talk to them or see them, but all they said was because we said so. So then, anyways, making a long story very short, I couldn't. My sister has been gone for almost 6 years now, and I've only seen her once in those 6 years. And even when I did see her, my parents refused to tell me that that they were gonna go see her. So then it wasn't until one of my adopted siblings told me about it that I was like, "You need to let me see my younger sister. You can't keep her away from me." So I was able to see my younger sister, but my parents wouldn't let us be alone, and so that was very hard. I couldn't connect with my sister at all. We don't have a relationship to this day because I'm not allowed to have a relationship with her. Also, the same thing with my older brother. I was banned from talking to him, seeing him, or anything. So then I was the only adopted child left at home. My parents didn't know what to do with me. They began to treat me very differently than their biological children. They would blame me for a lot of things that I didn't do. And then they would play the adoption card on me saying, "Oh, we rescued you, so everything we say you have to do because we rescued you." So they basically manipulated me a lot, and I began to believe lots of lies that they told me about myself. They told me that because I was from Africa, I was not as smart as children who were born in America, and they wouldn't let me go to public school because I wasn't smart enough because I was born in Africa. So I began to think I was a pretty dumb person because I was born in a different country. My mom made me very ashamed of my body because she wouldn't let me wear certain clothing. She would buy me a lot of baggy stuff to hide my figure, and it just made me very disgusted by who I was as a person. So then finally one of my siblings stood up for me and was like, she needs to go to school because that's how she's gonna learn. She's not dumb. She's just as smart as any child anywhere. So then they let me go to a community college my junior year of high school, and then the first year into that, they pulled me out. It really hurt. They pulled me out and said they didn't care about my education and I was not going to finish school, so I should stop asking. So then 5 months came by. I didn't go to school. They didn't notify the college that they were pulling me out. They just told me one day, "Oh, you're not going to class, so you're staying home." I was graded for all the classes I missed. The college would call constantly asking why I didn't show up for school, but my parents wouldn't explain to them why they pulled me out. So eventually, one of my siblings told me I had to move out of my parents' house because they were abusing me mentally. They were manipulating me a lot. And so at the age of 18 years old, I came to my parents and told them I was leaving their household. From then on, they became very angry with me. They became very disappointed in me and told me that I was a terrible child for leaving without their permission and that I was doing a very terrible sin because I was moving out at 18 years old. So then I moved out anyways, and from then on, my parents and I don't talk at all. They refuse to really help me through life. They refuse to pay for my school. They refuse to be there for me whenever I go through struggles. They don't even call or ask me how I'm doing or anything. So it really sucks because even though I'm 20 years old, I still need parents. I still need my parents around. I wish I had a mom that I could go to and just complain about life, or not even complain, but like just tell them, oh wow, this exciting thing happened in my life. But I can't do that with my parents, because every time I try to tell them stuff, they would just knock it down with some negative comments, or bring back stuff that happened in the past. So it's very sad. So anyways, I don't talk to my parents. I've had to find other people to be my parents for me. I mean, they can't really be my parents because my adopted parents will always be my parents, even if they're not there for me. And I don't want to focus on the negative side of my adoption, because life goes the way you want it to go. So if I focus on just the negative side, and then my life will just turn out pretty terrible. And I don't want to blame my parents either, because they did what they thought they was best, I guess. So anyways, sorry to make this very long, but through my trials in adoption, I have become a stronger person. I've learned to do things on my own, which has made me a dependent person than some people my age. But at the same time, it makes life harder, because the things that my parents should have helped me through, I had to struggle to learn and go to other people for help. So that's my adoption story. It's a little bit different than most people's adoption story. It's a little more on the negative side, but I hope that most kids are not going through terrible things in adoption, because that's very sad. When you rescue a child or adopt a child, they need to experience a much better life than the life they knew, not the same equality or like worse than the life they had. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my story. I'm sorry it was very long, but hopefully those out there who have gone through hard times in adoption can learn from my story. And just, I want to encourage people to just stay strong. You don't need to listen to those negative things that people say about you, because that's not who you are. You're an amazing person, and you can do this. Make those negative comments, like, knock them down with your great attitude. Always look on the bright side, because things will get better, I promise you. So thank you so much.